Hello and welcome to Face to Face. Well, alternative telecommunications provider Vox has reported a drop in interim profits, but revenues are still climbing, 22% up this time around to just over R1 billion for the half year. I'm joined now by Tony van Marken, chairman of the group. Tony, thanks very much for coming to studio.
Hi Judith, thanks for having me.
Tony, as I mentioned in the intro, your revenue growth is still good, your gross profits were up, but you've had all these costs, so why have they jumped in the period?
Yeah, we've had a couple of unusual charges. One is amortization, which is really the rate at which we write off the value of assets we've acquired, such as companies. That's had quite a significant impact. For the period, it's 13 million rand before tax. For the full year, it'll be 26 million. In addition, we've had high finance charges on our debt. Obviously, in a high interest rate environment, and although interest rates are going down, we've still had to deal with those costs. We have had higher employment costs. We have been still expanding the business, investing in the business with capex, network upgrades, data centers, etc. So there have been some higher costs. It has had an impact, and we also have a much larger number of shares in issue compared to the prior period.
Just talking about the staff costs, you've definitely beefed up the business, which is nice in this environment where people are laying off staff. Are you going to have enough business though to justify the amount of staff that you've added to your payroll?
No, absolutely. You know, we actually added about 39 people in the period. We grew revenues 20%, so we're running a well over 2 billion rand a year business with 737 people. Obviously, we're going to be quite cautious about growing headcount as we go forward. So we're managing all of our cost infrastructure across the board, but we're still a growing company, and there's still an opportunity for us to gain market share in the sector.
Actually, that's also going to be one of my later questions, but one of the analysts is saying that you work in a very competitive space. The liberalisation, as badly managed as it has been, has definitely opened up the market to a lot of players. Are you going to be able to, muscle your way into growth organically, given the competition that you face in your environment?
Look, in a sense, it's never changed. I mean, this has been a highly competitive industry for the 12 years we've been in it. Telkom had a monopoly and a stranglehold until we had deregulation. Now we have 500 vans operating. It's actually quite a tough environment for a small van to operate. I mean, we see that on voice traffic and interconnect traffic, where we aggregate traffic from other players because they don't meet the minimum billing thresholds for the likes of MTN and Vodacom. So on one side, we can actually get stronger because we have a big base of business. We have 18,000 corporate customers. We have 157,000 consumers. On the other hand, customers all want a good deal. And in this type of economy, if you're not growing the top line, people look at their cost structure, so everyone wants to negotiate a better deal. But we also do well there because we help our customers save money. But saying that, there's no question it's highly competitive out there.
Well, you mentioned 150,000, 157,000. Last time around, I think you had about 166. So your customers are slipping. What's happening there?
Yeah, we churned about 14,000 customers in the Atlantic customer base. A lot of that is just simple non-payment, and we turn those customers off. They're typically on debit order, so if someone doesn't have 120 rand in their account, you try and recover that. If they want to continue, they typically pay their bill, but we have churned. So we are seeing some pain in the consumer sector, but we added 7,000 customers on our Vox Telepreneur offering. So we've had some wins there. So that's growing quite nicely, and we're very pleased with that.
And I see the average revenue per user for Vox Telepreneur has increased over the period. Is it likely to increase further? And are you looking to increase customers in this division of the business?
Yeah, we're expecting very good growth in Vox Telepreneur. In fact, we've now paid out about 2 million rand in commissions. We started that business in September 2007. A big drive in Telepreneur's average revenue per user, similar to the mobile industry, but the same in Data Pro. We're driving up the ARPU, and what we're trying to do is get our GP up and our average revenue per user up across all the customer base in quite a tough environment.
Does that refer to your annuity revenue as well? Or is it, your annuity revenue, as I see, is 172 million rand, which is stable over the period. Is that also something that you'd like to try and increase in the year ahead?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, most of our business is contract-based business, typically 2-year contracts and government 5-year contracts. So you're trying to not only maintain that, but increase the ARPU across that base. And in the data business, we do that quite well. In the voice business, it's been a bit more challenging because the margins are thinner. And we've actually eliminated some contracts that we weren't happy with. So in the period, we actually walked away from some business deals that we weren't comfortable with because the margins were just too thin. So we'd rather have a much more profitable business than take on what we view as sort of marginal business that's not going to actually make us stronger.
I mean, that was a feature of your results, but Tony, margin pressure surely is going to be an issue for you because, as you say, you've got consumers under pressure. There's probably more competition. It's going to be difficult to grow margins in this area, in these sort of areas. So how are you going to increase your profits, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, look, it's a challenge. On the one side, we're watching the cost structure quite carefully. On the other side, we have a lot of sales through resellers where you give away quite a bit of margin. So we've got to look at how we structure some of those deals, how we sell some of this business. That's why we've actually walked away from a few deals. If there's not enough in it for us, it's just not worth it. So we want to actually get that GP back up there. And we actually think we can do that over the next 12 to 18 months. But it's not going to be easy.
Moving on to acquisitions, you've been a very acquisitive company, and you mentioned that you are still looking at acquisitions in terms of your overall growth strategy. But do you need these acquisitions to grow the company, or could you focus purely on internal growth for a period?
That's a good question. We actually are focused more on internal growth. I mean, we've said that we'll still look at acquisitions in the future. We're really not in a position to do any right now, not with our share price where it is as well. So the focus is internal growth, organic growth, make sure all the operations are running well, improve the financial stability of the company, generate cash, pay down the debt. So we've got a big focus on growing our EBITDA number, which we did 11% in the period. So, on the bottom line, we've got some of these unusual charges that we've got to deal with. We've got higher finance charges, but we'll pay off that debt. And, we continue to meet all our payment requirements in that regard. So it's a question of time. But I think we'll create a very strong platform to grow. And as the economy recovers, I mean, you're still going to see a massive growth in broadband. You're still going to see growth in internet penetration. We've got the CCOM cable coming online in August. We've procured capacity on the CCOM cable as well.
Is that going to be good for you?
Look, it's good for everyone. Effectively, Telkom have monopolized SAT3 forever, so at least we can all negotiate with another supplier, and it gives us an alternative, and those costs will ultimately come down. But that's only the international component of bandwidth. You must remember, most corporates here, a lot of their bandwidth is local bandwidth. So, it's been more expensive to send data from Johannesburg to Cape Town than it is from Johannesburg to London. So those days are going to change, which is great.
Tony, just lastly, you mentioned your share price. It took a knock. It was knocked by the Dealstream debacle. How are you going to restore confidence in your stock as a listed company?
Look, bottom line is we have to perform. We know that. The management team has been around a long time. We're all committed. They were all materially affected, but everyone's hung around. We're as committed as we've ever been, and the only thing that counts is results, and it might take some time, but we think we've got a great franchise here. We've got a good platform. We've got a good group of employees, and we've got a very large customer base. And relative to some other players, it's quite key to have access into that base. We can now sell all of voice customers' data. We're seeing a lot of acceptance of converged solutions. We're bringing new products to market. We just launched a brand new broadband product known as Fishbone, which is a line bonding technology, which is unique to South Africa. We've negotiated exclusive rights to that technology. So we just have to deliver, Juliet. That's the bottom line.
We'll have to leave it there. Tony, thanks very much.
Thank you.
That's Tony van Marken, Chairman of Vox.